I honestly, I always joke that like I'm the mayor of Nashville because I love it so much, but I'm not from here. So I feel comfortable like saying it. I love it here so much. And I feel like the people here, especially like the community in Nashville is just, everyone has that small town mindset, you know, like kind of how I was raised. And I think a lot of us were raised, not many people were raised in a city. And yeah, I think it's just so cool that it still has the amenities of a city, but the mindset of a small town.
You're listening to Breaking the Ice podcast, a podcast that I created in 2020 to connect women within the hockey world. My name's Devin Dodaro, my husband's Charlie Dodaro, and we've played literally all over the world. We have 2 kids, 2 dogs, and let's just say hockey has taken my world by storm. What I've learned is that this community and these experiences are very specific, and you should not have to go through this alone. Through this podcast, I share the tools, resources, do's, don'ts, and what's helped me along the way while continuing to learn from each and every one of you. So lace them up and tune in for episodes twice a month. And make sure to follow the page on Instagram at Breaking the Ice Pod. Hello, welcome back to Breaking the Ice. So happy you're here today. It has been a minute since an episode has come out. It's the summer, it's been busy for everybody, but also for some people that are already over in Europe maybe. The season has already started and you're probably getting acclimated with life and the country you're in and the culture and the people and that transition. So I want to remind you to give yourself a lot of grace as you're going through these transitions, because it's not easy. Do not compare your life to someone's highlight reel. A lot of what you see on Instagram is not real, with just living these like glorious European lifestyles. It is hard, especially the first couple months, if you have never been in that country, that city, or you're on a new team. Like at minimum level, that is just a hard transition. So give yourself grace. I am currently in a very hockey wife awkward limbo where we have signed with the team, but I can't say a word because the team hasn't shared it yet. And newsflash, if you don't know that, you really shouldn't be sharing publicly where you've signed until the team puts it out there, because that's kind of just like the go ahead where you can, speak to it. But yeah, it's awkward because I always like to show up very authentic for you guys and share what's going on in the now and real life. And I can't do that yet. And it sucks because this is what the whole page is about, is just sharing my experience, talking to other women, being able to be just like very transparent and open and honest. And I feel like we'll get there soon. I'm hoping in the next couple weeks. I would like to hope it's in the next week, but I have kept thinking that for several weeks now and it's not been announced. So I feel like I'm kind of tiptoeing around it on my page, but I will let you guys know ASAP when that comes out, and we'll spill all the tea on our plan, where we're going, and yes. One of my favorite things about this hockey life, if you let it, is the community that you can build within your team. I'm not really just talking about showing up for games or grabbing like a quick coffee together. I mean like that deeper show up for each other in real life kind of community. You're all kind of in the trenches together. There's road trips. You're juggling kids at the rink. It feels like you have your own little family inside of the big hockey world. And I've really been thinking about that a lot lately, because honestly, there are times when hockey can feel really isolating, especially when there's news or changes happening in your own family that you can't share yet. But what makes it easier, and what makes the waiting and the transitions and the uncertainty feel less heavy, is when you do have a strong community around you. And I've heard time and time again every year, there are people that are like, I don't even know if we're going to be here next year. I don't really want to invest my time and my energy because I'm probably never going to talk to these people again. But I truly encourage you to lean into it. And like, this is where you are right now in your life. These are the people you're surrounded with. Like, put yourself out there, make the effort. You never know, what friendships will come out of it. And I know that like maybe that's not for everybody, but truly it can be such a blessing if you let it be. And I'm also fully aware of the fact that sometimes that just does not happen on teams, which is very unfortunate. It's very challenging for me. I'm a very, very social person. I see my friends almost daily when I'm home in the summertime. And so like if I'm not on a team like where I'm constantly doing something or with friends or like having fun with people, I feel like it really gets to my head. Where maybe if you are a little bit more introverted, that's not as much of an issue for you. So, anyhow, my point of this is that it does make it easier when you lean into that aspect of this lifestyle because there are so many amazing people within it. And yeah, put yourself out there. The reason I'm talking about this is because I chatted about this with my guest today, Erin Forsberg, who has built a life for herself in Nashville with her husband and her son. And she's also a singer and songwriter. She's a mom. She's lived this lifestyle and she's created this sense of home within Nashville. She's one of those people who brings others in. She makes you feel welcome. Her favorite part of this lifestyle is the other women in it. So we did get into that. And we're talking about how she does it all. We talk about how her and her husband handle these high demanding jobs, how life has transitioned once she brought a child into this world with the long road trips. And she's just so down to earth. My favorite kind of people are just down to earth, real ones, and she is just that. So this was a really fun, just honestly felt just like a really great conversation. Sometimes podcasts can feel a little more like an interview to me, where other times it feels just like I'm chatting with a friend, and this was one of those episodes. So enjoy. If you're listening today, please share to your story. This helps spread the word about the podcast. And yes, have a great week. Good luck to everyone who's starting the seasons. Like I said, hang in there. And if you're still in summertime, enjoy these last couple months before things get hectic. Well, Erin, welcome to Breaking the Ice. I'm so excited to talk to you today. We usually start off and just introduce yourself and share about who you are, what you're doing, where your husband plays, your family life, anything that you want to put on the table. And I'll just turn the floor to you and then we'll kind of go from there. So welcome.
Okay, thank you. Well, thank you for having me on. I've seen your podcast and heard it for years, so I'm so thankful to be on. It's going to be really fun to talk to you today.
Yes.
My name is Erin Forsberg. I am from South Georgia. My artist name is Erin Alvey. I was a country music touring artist for many years until I met my husband, or not until I met my husband, but when I met my husband, that's what I was doing. And then actually COVID hit. So that's when I, took a step back on my touring. But my husband plays in Nashville, Tennessee, and we have one son who is 14 months.
Oh my gosh. And he is like, I feel like the star of the show. I named him on
You'll demand it.
The NHL page in Nashville. He is so cute. Oh my goodness. So how did you and your husband meet?
So one of his teammates' wives, Ellie Yossi, she and I were actually doing a modeling job together for a company called Boot Barn in Nashville. And so we were modeling, and I think that's how my husband originally saw me, is what we're kind of like diving back. And then he messaged me on like a Wednesday. We always say messaged me, and then took me on a date on Friday to Dave & Buster's. So Instagram is where he like made the initial move, but we had the mutual friends of Ellie and Roman.
Okay, I love that. And were you just at Dave & Buster's last weekend?
Funny you said that. It was actually, that was my like 6 month later surprise birthday my husband threw for me. But that was at a place called Playground. But our anniversary is on Wednesday, so 2 days from now. And we will be going to Dave & Buster's because we always go every year on our anniversary. And we bring our son now. So it was fun.
I love that. I'm sensing a theme here.
We frequent the Dave & Buster's. Yeah, that's true.
How old were you when you started with your career and started going down that path?
I was 18, I believe, or I just barely turned 19. And my cousin was on the boy band O-Town, early 2000s. They were popular, and they're still a band and touring now. Okay. So he told me, I'll take you to Nashville. If you write 5 original songs, I will take you to Nashville, and we can kind of, get a career started. We can try, we can do it that way. So I was 19. He took me to Nashville, and, we started recording, but I was still in college. My parents said, like, look, we're all for this, but if you don't mind, please finish your degree for our sake. And I didn't want to, but I was like, you know what? I enjoyed college, but I really wanted to just like pursue music. But I did. I finished my degree. I got a degree in broadcast journalism, and I never worked in it, but I enjoyed every moment. I think it still is, my degree I use currently, even though I don't use it for work necessarily. But yeah, then I moved to Nashville. Actually, I was touring, And then the management I had at the time was like, you really need to make the move to Nashville. And I was like, no, I'm making a living touring. I don't really want to go to Nashville. I lived at my parents' house again after college and I didn't want to leave. I was like so happy there.
Yeah.
And I was barely there because when you're touring, you're on the road so much. So I was like, it's kind of nice. I would just be paying for a place in Nashville. I wouldn't even be there. And then, like I said, it was kind of weird how it all happened. I ended up moving to Nashville, and not long after that, COVID really hit. So I wasn't touring anymore, and I was there, and I was doing Zoom rights, and it was really weird. But yeah, I moved to Nashville probably like 22 or 23 years old.
Okay. Yeah. It's funny how just the universe works too, because obviously your husband plays for the Predators, and then you being in Nashville, it's like there's a greater
Yeah.
situation going on. So
Yeah.
that's very cool. So you guys met when you were in Nashville then?
Yes. So I hadn't
Okay.
even officially, I was moved there, like I had a sublease apartment, but I was
Okay.
still touring. So
Okay.
like when he would ask me on a date, he'd take me on a date and then he'd say like, well, when are you going to be back home in Nashville? And I'd be like, well, there's a week, like this week, the 21st through the 24th, I'll be there. And he'd be like, okay, on the 23rd, can I take you on a date? So that was like weeks in advance. So we weren't the typical like meet and then hang out with each other all the time. We were
Right.
like going on like pretty intentional dates, like once a month for like months doing that. So it's not like it was like a whole, we met and we were in love. Like we were dating, going on one date really every month or so. So it was nice. It actually worked out, I think, in our favor, but it was a slow burn.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I was gonna say, because like one of my questions was, you obviously both have very like high demand schedules. Like hockey is insane, their schedule, and I'm sure like with your touring and you're trying to make a name for yourself as well.
Yeah.
How did you guys at the very beginning make that work? Because like you said, I think when you meet someone and you connect with them, it's like you want to be around them all the time, and like it's hard when you have two very
demanding jobs.
amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. So when we first met, we were both so young that I don't think either of us were in the mindset of like, we want to be together every day because this is my forever person. I think we like met and we were enjoying each other's company, but we hadn't even really thought too far. We were so young. We were just enjoying like, seeing each other when we did. And yeah, I think as time went on, that did become more difficult. When we first like started dating, I actually moved to Thailand for a month because I was filming a movie there. So that was hard because I really like wanted to be with him in proximity, but it was also, I wanted, like you said, I was making a name for myself and I was enjoying, working and chasing my own dreams. And, since, as time progressed and after we got engaged and I got pregnant, all these things, like I am very cautious to say I put my stuff on a back burner because I'd never felt like I did or had to. My husband has never made me feel that way, but I wanted to. I really wanted to be, a mom. I wanted to be home with my son, and I was still able, thank God, to knock on wood, I can go to the studio during the week, and I can still work. I don't have to tour as much now, and maybe in the future, touring will be something I'm hoping to do again in the future. But I'm enjoying this time of life, being able to still chase my dreams, but also be here in Nashville and like go to my son's or my husband's games with our son. And I don't know, it's definitely changed, but I haven't like stopped the dream. I don't know if that makes sense, but
what does like a normal week, month look like for you with that? Like, how do you still find the time for yourself? And obviously now having a son too, because that just changes, you get less time, time to follow your own passions.
yeah.
How do you make that work and find that balance within such a hectic lifestyle?
Yeah. Schedule. I feel like off seasons are best for that. Like off seasons, almost like my time to shine. Like that's when I can go. Yeah.
This is my time to thrive.
Yeah. Like I'm not going to throw that on, I'm not going to have my husband come home, during the season in between. We has to take a pregame nap and get ready for the game. I can't like watch my son necessarily. He could, and he would happily. But my point is like, it's easier in the off season when I can say, hey, I have a co-write, at 2:00. Can you be here after practice to watch him? He loves to be here, not even watch him. It's his father. Yeah. They always say like,
I know.
I don't know whoever said that. And I sometimes catch myself like, oh, my husband's watching our son. They're like, or is he being a dad? I'm like, you're right. Yeah. And he's happy being a dad.
And you're like, why am I saying this? This is
Yes. And he's never made me feel that way. I think it's just like our generation kind of says things like that. And I was like, that's not true. You're right. Totally. He's being a dad. Yeah. I think off season is when I try to heavy load more work, which sometimes it's hard when we want to spend, some time with his family in Europe. And my husband is Swedish, so we spend a lot of time in Sweden. There's been some things like, I'm going to say like lightly in the works, maybe in Sweden. So I can kind of work there as well. It's just been kind of fun seeing where the stuff lands.
Yeah. And you guys were just in Europe for a month.
2 months. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
how was that? Is that something you guys do every summer?
Usually, it kind of depends. Last year we had our son in May, so we only went there for 1 week because it was hard for me to travel. Or not hard. I think I was just more so nervous. I was so scared that he was going to get sick on the plane.
Yeah.
So we waited till he was 3 months and we went for 1 week towards the end of the summer just to go back, see grandparents and such. But yeah, it's fun. It's something
Yeah.
that I look forward to. I think it's my escape when we go there.
Yeah.
It's, my time to really step away, and Philip as well. Like kind of just be the three of us, and we have our apartment there and it's just nice. It's smaller than what we're, used to here, which we love because
Yeah.
it's, we're just all there close together and it's nice.
Yeah, different like way of life over there. Lots more
Totally.
slower paced. And
Totally.
I just thought of a random question, but obviously you guys are both like in the public eye. When you go out in Nashville, because I've heard like there's different markets that are different. I
Mhm.
heard Nashville
Yes.
is a lot more like chill when you go out. Like,
Most chill.
yeah, like they're not,
No.
coming up.
It may be a picture, but it's also like very kind and respectful, like an after dinner, hey, can I snap a quick pic type thing. Like this
Right.
city, I honestly, I always joke that like I'm the mayor of Nashville because I love it so much. But I'm not from here, so I feel comfortable like saying it. I love it here so much, and I feel like the people here, especially like the community in Nashville, is just everyone has that small town mindset. Like kind of how I was raised, and I think a lot of us are raised. Not many people
Yeah.
were raised in a city, and yeah, I think it's just so cool that it still has the amenities of a city, but the mindset of a small town.
Love Nashville. I've gone there twice, and every time I'm like, I could live here.
It's fun. Come down.
Yeah.
Come live here. Yeah, it's fun.
Is so just like the live music on every corner, like just
Yeah.
good vibes, and everybody's so nice there. And I was looking at his elite prospects and I saw like he's essentially, I mean, maybe one AHL stint, but like he's pretty much
Yeah.
just been in Nashville, which is so
Oh
nice
yeah.
for you guys to have that stability and not like you kind of just have a sense like, this is home for you and you don't have
Totally.
to worry about, I mean, obviously anything could happen, right? It's
No, I know
hockey.
what you're saying. Yeah.
But
Yeah,
it's
it's
nice to have that stability for you and your family.
totally. And
Yeah,
we've had those conversations, and Philip actually lived here for many years before I officially moved here. So I was here a lot with work, but we didn't know each other for like 6 or 7 years into both of us living here. So it was funny. We didn't even register each other's, on our didn't
yeah,
come across each other's desks.
right.
But I'm going to say with Nashville, like, that was the conversation when we first started dating. He said, look, I am Swedish and my dream was always to move back to my hometown in Sweden. Like, what's your thinking on that? And my dad is actually part European. So I grew up in Europe in the summers. Like he's a dual citizen.
Oh,
So I was
cool.
like, you know what? I am very much under the mindset of I'd rather live where the person I love is, and I don't care where that is. And also twist my arm, where he's from is the most beautiful place ever. So it's not like it was a hard sell. But at the
Right.
same time, it would be, difficult to leave the place that I created a home for myself outside of him and his career. Like Nashville's a place that I felt like was mine as well, was his. And then together we grew together here.
Yeah.
But then after years went by, he actually brought up, I think, maybe Nashville is where we'd be forever home. I know that's such a hot term and, hockey life is, like forever home.
Right.
And so even if, we were down the road to get sent somewhere else, we'd happily go and see where this path takes us. But we think Nashville will always be where we come back. So that's comforting.
Yeah, I love that. And I think it's so important to like have an open mind when you are in this lifestyle because if you get so,
You can't. Yeah.
yeah,
And you should love everywhere you are, especially this lifestyle. You know how it goes. Like you go into a new 20 great girls. Like you have best friends, or I don't say best friends, but you have friends immediately wherever you go. And if you lean into it correctly, I think that it leans back into you and you can really, you get what you put into it. So
Yeah.
every city, you're so lucky you have a friend group there,
Yeah.
and you all have, similar schedules because your husbands are doing the same thing. So, if we were to go somewhere else, I'm sure it'd be exactly where we were supposed to be. But of course we'd hope to stay here, but
Yeah.
we can't make that decision entirely.
Yeah, exactly. So in terms of like the girls, how do you help create that dynamic within the team? Because that is always like such a hot topic. And obviously it can vary
Yeah.
depending on what team you're on. Like it's always changing, people going out, people coming in.
Yeah. Well, I think because I've only had the experience of Nashville, I've only seen the greatest girls ever. Like you hear quote unquote horror stories, but I've never experienced one. So I also don't know. There's always two sides to every story.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I've never like knock on wood again. Gosh, I don't want to. I'm always worried to say it, but I'm always like knocking. But yeah, I think that every girl that's ever come and gone has been just absolutely wonderful, has fit into the piece. Nashville is very, like I said, I say this, but maybe other cities are just like this. I don't know. But to me, I feel like it's very, I don't want to say down to earth because I think every city is, but I think it's very casual is the
Yeah.
right word.
Yeah.
Nashville's very casual. You can wear like a hoodie and leggings to the game. And I've heard that some other places maybe you dress up more, which I think is cool too. Like,
Yeah.
it's how fun would that be to like have your moment to dress up? But
Yeah.
you could do that here as well. It just kind of depends. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Nashville has a vibe that everyone I've met has kind of fallen into that same, like, okay, it's chill here.
Right. Just kind of like an immediate connection vibe. Like I've heard people that play there like just love it. I'm good friends with Brittany Wedgwood, who
I call her the one that got away. Is it
they have been all over the map.
Best.
She was the one that got away, I'm sure, for everybody. She is best.
We're very similar. Like she and I are both like Potterheads, like Harry Potter. We love Harry Potter, and we like bonded over that immediately. And it's funny when she was traded here, one of our close mutual friends also, she was like, I feel like you guys are the same person. You're really going to get on well. And then I got here and we had just had babies, both of us. So it was hard for us to like kind of find the time together, but we knew we had that like connection, and then they got traded. I was like, no.
I know.
It was so heartbreaking.
I know. The hockey world. When you first entered the hockey world, did you know anything about hockey? Like, what was your take on it? Were you like, what did that look like for you? Because it's
not much.
Yeah.
Being raised in South Georgia, we didn't have hockey. Like there was not, I think the closest rink was like 3.5 hours away in Atlanta. And I'm from like South Georgia. We did have once a year, there was an ice rink in Savannah, which is like 40 minutes from our house. And so like during Christmas time, you had that. So I didn't grow up with, the exposure of hockey. Right. Then I was like, I met friends that were like in the hockey world, like their husbands were playing or something. So I knew of it, but I wasn't in it. Luckily I had Ellie when I started dating Filip, and she's actually the first person I went to a game, and she told me like, hey, typically you can do what you want. Like, she's so cool. She's like, you can do what you want, but I was told we don't really wear the guys' jerseys to the games. And I was like, cool. Like, I didn't even own a jersey at the time. And if I'd known they were $300, I definitely wouldn't have had one at the time. But I was like, okay, like, yeah, like, cool. And she kind of taught me like the ropes a little bit, and I'm happy that I had her, like outside of the connection of hockey. Like, she was my true friend outside. Before I'd even met Filip, she was my true friend, and that was a blessing. Right. Yeah. So she was, and then obviously once I met all the other girls, everyone was so warm here, so welcoming. Yeah. And maybe it helped that I had a life a little bit before hockey here. So like I already had my workout classes and my friends and music, and I was already working. And so that I think was a blessing for me that I didn't realize until later down the road.
Totally. Do you feel like if he were to like early on in your relationship, if he were to move somewhere new and you made the choice to go with him, do you feel like it would have been harder for you to like acclimate into the lifestyle if you didn't have your life there prior?
Could have been. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it's hard to say, because like I said, maybe when I met girls, like I remember some like from Europe, they weren't legally allowed to work. And I remember, sometimes hockey wives get the reputation of like they don't work and they do all these things. And it was so unfair to me because I felt like a lot of these girls can't work. And even if they can, who are you to tell it? Like, to me, I was like, that's not your business, one, but two, like, you don't actually understand that a lot of them really do want to pursue their dreams, but also they want to be here with their husbands. And like, that's admirable in its own way. So I think that was for me, like you said, eye-opening when I met other people. And the fact that I could work and I had a job here in Nashville was something that I did not take for granted. Still don't, especially the flexibility of what I do. Like, that's not to be, taken for granted. And I think had I moved to a different city, that would have definitely turned me on my head a little bit because I wouldn't have the studios and the connections to work, the co-writes in another city. So yeah, I'm sure it would have been harder to acclimate.
Yeah. What do you have any advice for maybe someone that is wanting to pursue their dreams, but also maybe having a hard time balancing it with their husbands, or maybe if they have children, like what would you say to them? Even if it's in regard to like the current season of life that you're in and not, or like just anything that comes to your mind of what you would say.
Yeah. I'd say like chip away at it a little bit at a time. Like, don't put so much pressure on yourself to like, you're maybe like you can do whatever you want. And like I said, especially it depends, I'm sure whoever you marry, it doesn't matter if they're a professional athlete or not. If your person's going to support you, they're going to support you. And that's something that I think, I'm very thankful for. I have a husband that was like, he pushes everything I want to do. He's like, go for it. Like he figures it out with me. And I'm sure, like I said, across the board, there are doctors that do that. My dad's a doctor. He did that for my mom. Like, whatever it is, figure out with your spouse what it looks like to support each other. Maybe he really needs to have like a meal at 5 o'clock at night. And that's going to cut into maybe something you do for chasing your dream, but find something that works for both of you and just chip away a little bit at a time. But the hockey life is short. So
Yeah.
like really try, like it's such a unique lifestyle. And I'd say like if you're in this lifestyle, like don't put so much pressure on yourself to like reach whatever you need to reach right this second. Like just chip away a little bit at a time each day and you'll get there and you'll have the time. You'll have your time to shine. But yeah, the hockey's short. Enjoy what it has to offer as well. It's so unique and it's
Yeah, it's true. It's always evolving, the lifestyle, and it's always changing in little different ways, or you're, bringing kids into the mix, and it's such
yeah.
a window of your life. And yeah, that's good advice. I love that. You don't have to have it always all figured out.
No, I don't think anybody does. Even if your husband, like I said, were had a normal quote unquote 9 to 5, it
Right.
doesn't, women have the same pressures all the way around. So it's
Yeah.
like, don't put more on yourself than you need to. And I think that's like I think this lifestyle, sometimes the women feel that of like, they need to put on more, or they need to act a certain way. And it's like, just
Yeah.
be you. Like,
Yes.
it's not that deep. You can do it.
That's so good. Okay, so then you had your son. How old is he now?
He's 14 months. So just barely turned 1 in May.
Oh my God. Okay, so you're getting him on the move now.
Yeah.
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 All
He's
the things.
He's
Yeah.
my little bestie. Yeah, he's always with me. So he's been to I modeled, after I had him again, I ended up doing a little bit more modeling. And he's come to shoots with me before and he has come to the studio with me. He's kind of been everywhere, but it's
Yeah.
like I said, being a mom was always something I wanted to be, and I'm really enjoying the season of life of being Felix's mom.
Yeah. Oh, and how has that changed? So, like, obviously, pre-kids, you have one experience in the lifestyle. Then now that you're a mom, there's long road trips. Sometimes you don't necessarily know their schedule,
Yeah,
playoffs, all the things. Like,
totally.
how has that changed for you? Like, what does that look like for you now?
Yeah, I can't just wake up and do whatever I want during the day. You don't plan your own life anymore. But I will say, of course, there's hard moments, but I'm always thankful that I'm the one that gets to be with him. That sounds so like I
No.
always feel bad for my husband when he's gone for 10 days at a time and he is watching his son grow up in a FaceTime. Sometimes I'm like, that's hard. But then this is always put in perspective for me. My best friend, like my lifelong since I was a kid, her husband is in the military. And so he was deployed. And I remember many weeks going by of her not knowing where in the world he was. So I was like, if I ever start feeling a little bit sorry for myself, I do throw myself right back into that perspective of like, and she's never made me feel like, well, like never,
Right.
never made me feel that way. She understands like everybody has their own, and that's not to take away from hockey wives and like their own struggles too. It's tough.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like that has always thrown me right back into perspective of like, I can call my husband pretty much at any moment and hear his voice. And so like, yes, it's hard. Of course, there's times your husband's going to miss things. My husband missed our son's first birthday party. That was our first birthday. Hard. Sure. Yeah. but we have each other too. That's something that I think is, maybe people don't realize on the outside, but like having the wives, like my friends or those girls on the team are the girls that if I had a flat tire, they would be my first call.
Yeah.
So it's like we have each other. We have like our own little team with the wives. And like you lean into that, like I said, you have your own family amongst each other,
Yeah.
So yes, it's definitely has changed my life as far as like, yeah, now it's not just me choosing what I do each day. Now I have somebody else to take care of. And sometimes that's one-on-one. But thank God I feel like that I get to be with my son.
Yeah.
And he misses his dad a lot. There are a
Yeah.
lot of kids that miss their dads,
Yeah, I know. It is interesting. And I do agree with that. I think there's like an understanding amongst the women where like,
Mhm.
even if you're feeling down about that, because that like the first birthday, that's like a big moment for you and for your kid.
Yeah,
And it's okay to feel a little like, oh, I wish they could be there. And like knowing that there's people that also have gone through that exact same
yeah,
thing, or like they've missed holidays, whether that's
totally.
Halloween or Christmas, and it's hard for them
Yeah.
too. But it is nice to be able to, because I think you can feel alone in that moment. Like it's
Yes.
like, this sucks. Like I feel like you're kind of going through it on
Yeah.
your own. But then once you are able to like talk to other people, be like, oh, I just find so much comfort in the fact that like
Totally.
other people have these experiences too.
Yeah.
You
And I
know?
think postpartum, I've seen a lot of women that have kids right at the beginning of a season. And to
Mm,
me, that's where I'm like, ooh, because like postpartum's no joke. And
yeah.
then your husband really, he can be there for you in certain ways and emotionally certain ways, but you know how it is. Like, once they're in, they're in. Like I kind of always like, bye, we
Yeah.
love you, see you in the summer. That's
Yeah.
how it is.
Yeah.
Emotionally, you have tapped in. So it's like I do have so much like my heart goes out a lot of times to the women that have kids right in that season, and they are the strongest freaking women that I've seen because they do it, and they stifle emotion sometimes as to not, like rock the boat at the house, and it's like, yeah, across the board, like women just across the board are amazing in professional sports and in
Yeah.
professional. They're just hats off because it's no joke.
Yeah, I know. I don't think that the women get enough credit in this
Mm-mm.
lifestyle. Like, I think a lot of people just think, oh, you're just like supporting your man, but there's just so much that goes into like holding down the fort, supporting them, like following, like, it's just, everybody wears so many hats that I think
Yeah,
people just don't see.
yeah, and you're like said, you don't. I don't want to say there's no room to complain, but really nobody wants to hear a complaint. So I think that's where I'm always hesitant of like, you know what? To some extent, you're right. Like,
Yeah,
there's really not much to complain about, but at the same time, like, yeah, it doesn't take away from the fact that it's hard. Like, there are
yeah,
going to be moments that you feel alone, isolated, or people don't realize even the sides of like your husband not playing well or something, and like that comes back and that affects your home. Like, that's their livelihood. It'd be the same as if your husband, had a strike at work and he might get fired. Like, you don't know. So like
yeah,
that would be hard for you outside of the hockey world. So I think it all kind of unfortunately comes down to public salaries, and people see this and so they think like, oh, like money fixes that. And
yeah,
it's like sometimes money doesn't fix the fact that you want your husband home, but I
yeah.
don't know.
No,
It's
that's a really good point. I think people do definitely look at that. What do they have to complain
yeah,
about or whatever? And it's like, well, we're human, and
yeah,
that's
human. And it's
yeah,
like that. And I'm very cautious not to touch that because I do think that's, yeah, there are, like I said, there are many scenarios that are quote unquote harder. So it's like, I can't, yeah,
yeah,
I'll just look at the positive parts.
totally. What has been like your favorite part of hockey? Like, what's your favorite part of the lifestyle as you as a wife?
The other wives and girlfriends and fiancés, like they are, my gosh, they're the best. Like,
Yeah,
and I still, every single season, somebody gets traded or something happens, and I'm like crying. And my husband said, well, maybe like one of your new favorite people in the world is going to come. Sure enough, a new favorite person comes. Like, you really are surrounded by such, like I said, I've been lucky, I think, but such wonderful women that
hmm,
have like the same purpose, the same goal. And like I said, if you tap into it and you guys are all on the same team, you are your own team. We're not the ones on the ice, but we are the ones downstairs. Can you hold my baby really quick so I use the restroom? Sure, thanks. That's the first time I've been able to, get away today. Can you come over really quick? I need your help with something. Like, they are your girls. And that's how lucky are we to have each other in that way. And this podcast and is such a good, I don't know, like exemplifies everything that is, and like even after hockey and all these, we have each other. You will always understand, like you and I had an understanding of each other before we'd ever met because of the lifestyle that we have.
yeah, yeah. No, that's so true. And yeah, I think people, it's good to lean into that too. Like, I think people can be also cautious, especially if you are jumping around. Sometimes I've heard that,
Mhm.
like, oh, I don't want to like put my energy into this because we might
I
leave or we
heard
might
it.
be
Yeah.
here next year. And it's like, that's where you're at right now,
Yeah.
currently. And like, lean into it and
Mhm.
enjoy it. And you never know, like, you could meet a best friend. And I've met a
Yes.
lot of best friends in this lifestyle that I'm still in
Yes.
with that were in my wedding. It's
Yeah.
such a blessing if you let it be and not
Yeah.
be so fixated on like not wanting to pour your emotions into it because
Yes.
you're worried about what's
I
gonna
love
happen
That's
next.
true. And
Yeah.
it's hard. You do get your heart broken.
Oh, it's
Like
worth
you
it.
do.
It is
My
worth
best
it.
friend got traded and I was like, I'll never be the same. And my husband's like, I know, but like, you meet other wonderful people. It doesn't take away from that friendship, the one that, that broke your heart. My first hockey heartbreak, I called it.
Yeah.
But after that, you almost like appreciate the friendships more. You're like,
Yeah.
hey, maybe we have each other for these next 9 months, but we have each other. Like you
Yeah.
said, like, let's work out together, take the kids and we do like music class or whatever. Let's
Yeah.
lean into each other because that's who we have. When the kids are sick,
Right.
you're the person to call. My husband's in Winnipeg. He can't calm down.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And then like looking back and being having such fond memories with that person,
yeah,
it's yeah, it's nothing but like good and positive. So
yes.
okay, if you have talked to me lately, you have probably heard me ramble on about Cozy Earth. I've heard about this company from other podcasts when I've been listening to episodes, and I seriously had to try it for myself. I was like, I can't take this any longer. I need to see what these sheets are all about. Currently sitting in my bed with these bamboo sheets, and I think I've officially converted to the dark side. I don't think there's a return for me to go back to any other sheet. I don't even put other sheets on my bed. I simply wash these and put them right back on my bed because they are just so good. They're so breathable. If you're married to a hockey player, you know that you need something that is cooling and comfortable, and that is exactly what this is. I also had to try their bamboo pajamas, which I'm obsessed with as well. They're just so good. They're like that kind of soft where you put them on and you feel like you're almost at the spa. Honestly, between the sheets and the PJs, I just really don't want to leave my bed. So if you want to try them, you can use my code ICE40 for 40% off at cozyearth.com. That's ICE40 for 40% off at cozyearth.com. I always say that. I'm like, you listen to podcasts and they always sound so smooth, even from the hosts. And I'm like, it's just editing. You just go.
That's so much work on your end. Like, hats off. That podcasting is not easy.
I love it though. It's so fun. And I think it's very therapeutic to me as well to talk to people and be like, okay, it's just even in the off season too. It's like, obviously we're not in season right now, but just being like able to have that little connection of like, similar things. Like this is, yeah.
It's so true. Where are you living right now?
I'm in Idaho.
Okay. Oh my God. I love Idaho. I lived in Utah for 6 years. Yeah. So I lived in Salt Lake. We're outside of Salt Lake in Provo.
Okay.
So I was in Idaho quite often. What part are you in?
So we're in Boise. Oh, I'm in Eagle, which is like right outside.
I'm in Eagle.
Do you?
Yeah. Do you know the Mangums?
What is?
The Mangums. They are like, he and his family, there's a bunch of them. There's like 6 of them. They're from Eagle, Idaho.
What's their first names?
Well, my friend, his name is Tanner.
Tanner, okay.
Tanner. And he like played football at BYU. I went to BYU.
Okay.
And so they were there, but they were from Eagle. There were so many people from Eagle. But I remember the Mangums had a giant family. There were like tons of like daughters and sons.
Okay. It's not ringing about. They're not hockey. No.
No.
Okay.
I said I never really met many hockey people before.
No, trust. I've never been to a game. Yeah, I actually met my husband here because I went to Boise State, and then he.
Oh my God, cool! We played each other then.
Yeah.
You had the blue football field, don't you?
Yes, exactly.
Hell yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you.
That's so exciting.
It's because we've been in Europe for the last 7 years, and just with my 2.
Like Switzerland, or where were you?
So we did Sweden our first year.
Where?
He's probably gonna die when I tell you this, but it's called Tingsgrid, and it's like, that's
okay. I'm not familiar, but it doesn't say much.
There's 2,000 people in the town. Me. Yeah. And I did like Sweden, but it was like the town we were living in was just like depressed. It was like,
I've only been during summer. So when I say I love Sweden, people are always like, wait till the winter. Come back in November and talk to me. And I'm like, you're right. You're right. That's fair.
So and like, I'm from San Diego. My husband's from Chicago. We met here. So we're both from like bigger towns, and then went there, 2,000 people, tiny. Then we did Austria for 3 years.
Fun.
Slovenia, England last year, and then I'm like, I'm
ready to go home. I'm done with Europe. I get it. I'm done.
Yeah, so I'm like,
you have family near you in Idaho?
My brother lives here. My parents don't.
Okay.
But, I am best friends with all my neighbors, and
so you love it.
I love it. Like it makes
that forever home.
This house is probably not, but this city is.
Eagle. I've only heard the best about Eagle. Like I said, I remember the Mangums always being like, we love Eagle.
Yeah, it's grown so much. But so that's so funny you've been here at BYU. And, so close.
I've been up to Boise many times. And I did broadcast journalism, so we had to like report when the games when we played there. So I stood on that blue football field.
Okay, so you've really been here. So that's kind of a trek for you to go from South Georgia though to.
My mom is from Utah. And so I moved in with my grandparents when I was 16, lived with them for 2 years, and then got an academic scholarship to BYU. So I ended up going up there because I wanted to go to Pepperdine my whole life. And I applied and I got into Pepperdine. I was like, that's where I'm going. And then I got the scholarship and it was like hard to turn down.
Okay.
And also Pepperdine is so expensive versus the scholarship. So I was like,
Yeah.
So, and I was doing music. So I was like, it's probably better if I just go to this school. And I loved it. It was fun.
Did you have like something you wanted to do with that major originally?
I did originally want to sideline. I thought that'd be fun, but it's funny. I always wanted to do like baseball because that was my favorite sport growing up.
Okay.
And it was perfect. Like I said, I ended up doing more broadcast journalism as far as like the media side outside of sports, and I enjoyed it.
So did you like grow up singing?
Kind of. I played sports. So I didn't do singing until I actually moved when I was 16 is when I started singing. Yeah, I didn't grow up singing at all, but I got to Utah And there was some kind of a rule because I had been playing sports my whole life in Georgia at my school and then transferring to the public school. There was some kind of a recruitment law that happened. So like I wasn't able or eligible to play sports my first year because they didn't want to be like recruited. So then I only had 1 year left my senior year. So I had started actually singing at like a restaurant. Like the town my grandparents are from is outside of Lake Powell, and it's famous for like all the whole like Western movies were filmed there. So I used to sing at like this little restaurant bar. I'd sing country music there, and that's what like started it.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's
Really
amazing.
weird path. But yeah.
Wow. Good for you. Isn't it crazy how it just life?
Life, man. Life is hard. Life comes out of nowhere.
Yes, all the things. And how does your husband support your career? Because we always talk about how we support them and what we're doing for them, but how does he support you, show up for you? And yeah.
The most supportive. Like I said, there's nothing I'm more proud of than being my husband's wife. I think it's, like I said, such an honor to be married to a great man. But at the same time, he really does. I'd say he's even more supportive towards me. He's the first person to like listen to a demo or give me an honest opinion on if he thinks something sounds good or not. And like I said, he'll move something around to be there with our sons so that I can make a right happen. And even in Sweden this time, I had a couple of work meetings and he moved things around to make sure he could be there. And it's just, it's like I said, I think that you're a team. Yep.
Yeah. So I like to ask this because everyone has a very different answer. And I love that because it just shows perspective. But if you could give anybody advice, maybe it's a new person coming into this lifestyle, maybe it's someone that's been in it forever, from your experience in the hockey world as a hockey wife, what would it be? What have you learned about yourself along the way?
Okay, that's a good one. Because I don't feel like I can give advice because I feel like I'm still learning, that like
Always.
I would love to give advice. And here I am like 8 years in and I still sometimes feel like a rookie. Like, I'm like, I don't know what I've learned about myself. I think something that was hard for me when I first came in was, like I said, supporting my husband publicly. I think there was something there. I learned so much from my best friend. Her name's Claire. Her husband also is a professional athlete, but they've been together since they were like 18. And I watched her and how she like just, I don't want to say shamelessly, but she just like supports her husband so like proudly and broadly. And I remember being like, but if I do that, people in this world are going to think that I'm like bragging. And I was like, dang, that's such a weird mindset because if you're not going to be your husband's number one fan, like really just like, you're the best, like who is going to be that person? Or worse, you're leaving room for somebody else to be that. And who should be their number one supporter than their spouse? And that doesn't mean when they're scoring all the goals, they're doing all these things. That also means when they're out and hurt for 6 months ahead of time, like every single day cheering them on, as if it's the finals of the Stanley Cup, like being there for them. So I'd say even what I've learned about myself as a spouse is that, like, just nothing I love more than when another girl on the team, like, shares something that the goal their husband did the night before. Cause I'm like, hell yeah, like, that's our team, So it's like, if you're not I'm not sharing your husband's goal because that's weird, So if you're not going to do it, like, who's going to do it? Right. So it's like that kind of stuff. I'm like, just be proud and nobody's looking at it. Nobody's thinking you're bragging. Nobody's thinking you're trying to act like, your husband's the best. And if you don't think your husband's best, I don't care if he's the front line, the fourth line, the bench warmer. If you don't think he is, nobody's going to think he is. So that to me was important, like that mindset of just be proud. Like this is not a bragging thing. It's more so just a pride of like who you married and showing them the support because they probably need it more than you realize. And they do get it from the fans and their family and the coaches and this and that, sure. But like you're the person that chose to spend life with them. So I don't know. Don't be, I guess, like scared to do it. That would be my advice.
That's beautiful. And that's the first time I've heard that answer. So thank you.
It was a learning curve for me.
Yeah, I'm sure, for sure. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. If anybody wants to reach out to you, find you, follow your journey, where can they find you?
At Erin Alvey on Instagram. And please reach out. I love meeting other hockey wives like across the world. It's fun. And that's what I love your podcast for that reason. It's so fun hearing the lives like across the board. People don't realize there's so much more than NHL. Like, there's so many leagues and it's so fun to hear about how fun it is to like live abroad and stuff. So thanks for doing it.
Yes. Thank you so much for that. And thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.